Like it seems like half of success in entrepreneurship is sheer perseverance. So I think keep going, never give up. All the basic advice totally applies. I think the tricky part is that you want to be starting with a small niche of crypto natives, but you also want to have like in mind the sequence of product to get to mainstream. And I can't say I figured it out. Maybe Drakula will stay for a long time about speculators and crypto people. But I think that's the tricky part. I think I've seen many apps really boom for crypto natives, but they cannot break out of this crypto native shell. This is like basic startup advice. Start with a niche, conquer that niche, and then grow from there.
Yeah, I do not wear my heart on my sleeve. I cannot let them see in too deep, cause I know they can use it against me. Only one I can trust is me. I got niggas I keep around me.
Episode 52 of Invest in Music with Alex from Drakula. Today we have a returning guest who's here to talk about his new product, Onchain TikTok, named Drakula. As a reminder, you can collect this episode on investmusic.xyz. We covered what it looks like to build a consumer crypto app in 2024 and much, much more. So without further ado, let's get into it. Episode 52 of Invest in Music with Alex from Drakula. What's up, everybody? We got a returning guest on today, Alex Masmej, the founder of Drakula, the latest and greatest crypto consumer app. Alex, how are you feeling today, man?
Good. Feeling so energized, so excited. Yeah, feeling electric. How about you?
Great, man. I mean, last time we had you on the podcast, you had blue hair. You're here in LA. You're vaping.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, now I stopped.
No,
just stopped like 2 minutes ago.
Man, it's been an amazing last week for you. I wanted to get you on because you obviously just launched a new product, Drakula. It's been going really well from my perspective, seeing a ton of use, ton of growth and whatnot. And really just want to unpack it. I mean, for those who haven't listened to our last episode together, why don't you do a quick background on yourself and then we can get everyone caught up to speed on Drakula.
Yeah, totally. So I've always been into crypto and consumer facing apps since 2019. I feel like in 2019, I decided to like have 1 decade of my career at least dedicated to crypto consumer. And so as part of like, this homebrew computer club for crypto consumer called Metacartel. And so I met lots of builders like you early on, iterating on stuff like this. I did a bunch of consumer crypto projects. And I guess like the one thing I'm known for before launching my company is the Alex token that I did during COVID from my parents' house, just, a hustler that was like 22 years old trying to make it as a founder in San Francisco. And so initially did some crowdfunding, it went viral. And I said like, it would be an income sharing agreement so I could pay back people who believed in me early. Because this did really well. We did other use cases like a token gated group chat where people could join if they owned Alex. They could even decide on my life choices, which was pretty fun. So I did many use cases at the intersection of social media via Twitter mainly and crypto and creator tokens that I kickstarted. And so once this happened, I was a founder and I was looking at opportunities in crypto and consumer, and I saw NFT and digital art doing really well. And so launched Showtime early on in 2021. And we did an NFT art gallery. It was kind of like Instagram for NFTs. People could like connect their wallet and read all their NFTs from all platforms. This did really well for 6 months. We raised $8 million from Paradigm, Naval Arikant, Balaji, you as well. And so that was super exciting times. And then the bear market was a bit tougher because the space changed very fast. It was more about OpenSea and trading collections. And so with all that runway we had from the funding early on, we were like, okay, like how do we iterate? How do we keep staying in touch with the crypto social space? And for the past 2 years, it's been a grind. I'm not going to lie. And basically, like what happened last is I saw the crypto infra really becoming easier to use, cheaper, faster with, chains like Base or new tools like Privy where you can easily sign in. And so when we saw this, I was like, I think we can actually go back full circle to the Alex token and really make a product that can deliver creator tokens for people. And so we decided to rebrand to like a very loud, brash brand. I know lots of people have thoughts about it called Drakula. And so, yeah, we just launched Drakula last week. It's been really amazing. Happy to dive deeper into it.
I want to start from the journey to building Drakula because I know there was a lot of decisions. Obviously, Showtime was around for many years. We used it quite frequently for your pre-save campaign, which now Sound has launched a similar product where you pre-save a song on Spotify and you get an edition of something. You sunsetted that. You obviously launched creator tokens around the time that FriendTech came out. And it really feels like, to me, Drakula is just kind of the result of many different iterations. I guess to really dive into the specifics there, talk me through your timeline on committing to wanting to build Drakula and how you kind of came up with the idea for what the product is today.
Yeah, totally. So I would say like the first piece was creator tokens. And so we saw the FriendTech launch, and that's when it clicked for me that like the infrastructure is a little easier now to create social tokens. But still, I don't think all the pieces back then were there. So that was like around a year ago or something. And what really clicked for me is late December, we were doing another product around creator tokens. Still was not working too well. We had like maybe $10,000 of volume. Now we're like hitting 4 million in 6 days. So it's really been crazy this past week. But basically, in December, we sat down and we're like, all right, like people are confused about the Showtime brand because we iterate so many times. People don't remember from the last time they're picked up what actually has become. So the brand, like, in the minds of people got a little tired. The crypto tech really improved. And at the same time, we saw account abstraction, which was like a piece of tech that was missing, we felt. And without this tech, I don't think Drakula could work today. And so like, all right, like we have all the pieces. Let's build a new app, a new rebrand. And so we knew it was around creator tokens. And then one thing I realized, one of the last products was about music creators, that the music creators actually are very active on TikTok. And we realized video creators are also pretty present everywhere. It's like, video is the most popular content format. So we felt like it was very natural to go after videos. Videos is lacking in the on-chain world per se. And so try to do that. And then there was like another design decision, which is like, are we building for the crypto crowd or are we building for the mainstream crowd? Initially, we started with the mainstream crowd when we started building Drakula. And I think little by little, we saw Farcaster really boom as a social network, thanks to frames, the mini apps within a tweet that you can do. And so after that, we were like, wait a second, like we should be launching in a month, but we should probably align with the Farcaster community because it's going to be a really great market to start with. It's an amazing community of builders and founders. They're very much into giving feedback, trying out new apps, etc. And right now we have like, I think 12 or 13,000 of our 25,000 users coming directly with sign in with Farcaster. So that's been really amazing to see. And so that was also one of the past decisions that I think was successful for our launch, which is not only creator tokens, but also Farcaster aligned, like Farcaster friendly with the DGen token, which we can discuss as well, which is like the main meme coin on Farcaster, which has like a tipping utility. Tons of different decisions led to this for sure. Years of work trying to figure out new products. And so I'm happy it all came out together like this.
There's a lot to unpack there. I'm really glad you brought up the Farcaster aspect because it's actually what I want to spend the most time on today, which is like, how do you build a consumer app in the year 2024? And I guess going into that a little bit more, you mentioned that when you started building this, it was entirely positioned as being for mainstream users, right? We were talking about Privy login. You just sign in with the phone number. There's account abstraction under the hood with Pimlico. You don't have to pay gas fees or anything like that. And I think from my perspective, I noticed that for as easy as it is to think about building a mainstream product with crypto today, it's very difficult to actually do it with the tools that are on the table. And to your credit, everything has gotten way better from where it was a year ago. But even still using things like Privy, things like Pimlico, et cetera, it's very difficult to completely abstract away all of the crypto. And I guess I'm curious to hear from you, like, how did you start thinking about building a consumer app? And then what did you realize why did you start to lean in a little bit more to this feeling like more of a crypto app at launch versus fully being like a normie app, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, totally. So I feel like, it's twofold. One is, do the creators care about the product? And two is, are the tools ready today to serve those creators? And so I think on one hand, we talk to mainstream creators, we talk to the Mr. Beast team and many other bigger creators. And they said things like, crypto is too early for us. We don't want our fans to get burned. Yep. And so the concept of creator tokens, at least the way it is today, is very speculative and kind of like a casino, but I think we're very transparent about it, and we're not fooling anyone that this is more serious than this. And also the trades are very affordable because the gas fees and the whole pricing of crypto apps has gone much more affordable. So on one hand, they were not too interested. They were really big creators. And so I think they'd rather just wait and see until the app gets millions of users before jumping on board. And on the second hand, also infra tools. Like we looked into Crossmint, we looked into many other tools, and they're really good, and we're really tracking them, and they are definitely on our roadmap. But as of today, not all of them support Base. They don't have the latest SDK up and things like this. And so it was really blocking us from even providing the service. At the same time, Farcaster was booming as the Twitter clone for crypto natives. And so it really felt natural to go with them. They were also more likely to respond and be willing to be part of the launch. And so on the launch, we had like 30 plus creators with already videos uploaded. So like people could see an app full of content on day one. So I think it all came down pretty naturally. And I love saying this sentence, but like stars are aligning. Like when we started going at Drakula in December, there was really no Farcaster community. It was still very, very tiny. And as we kept building the app, we saw the opportunity grow before our eyes. And so we're like, let's get after it and let's see how it goes. And so far it's been super successful. So super blessed to be working with that community.
Well, what I really like about your launch approach is that I signed into Drakula with Farcaster. I'm someone who's been very active on there in the last couple of months. And I think that there's still such an amazing opportunity to create alignment between those worlds, because today on Farcaster, you hear about, okay, Farcaster is this decentralized protocol. There's going to be many different clients on top of it. And there are clients that exist today, but they don't feel significantly differentiated from one another. And so what I find interesting about your launch is that you didn't go out to build a Farcaster client. You started by saying, okay, let's use Farcaster as a way to get more crypto people to use this app that feels net new. It doesn't feel like they're as speculative because they're coming in through Farcaster, which has its own sort of ethos and brand alignment behind it. And based on our past conversation, it sounds like now you're thinking about how do I even lean in more deeply to that relationship with Farcaster and what the potential there could be. So would love to just hear from your perspective. What have you learned since launch, specifically with relation to the Farcaster onboarding experience, and where do you see that going in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I think we are like in a very loose way a Farcaster client. I think like Dan claimed us, the founder of Farcaster claimed Drakula as a Farcaster video client. We are not fully aligned yet because we have our own username system, we have our own social graph, following count. But what we realized is for many different reasons, we need the Farcaster social graph right now. And so, on day one, there was a big fire around people impersonating other people, Jesse Pollack, nonlinear. And so we helped sort out this mess with them individually, but also just as a product, what we did is if you sign with Farcaster, we'll share your Farcaster username with a link to your profile. So that way people can verify if they're buying into the real creators, if it's like real legitimate creators that are using the app. So Farcaster was good for legitimacy. And then we also included cross-posting. And so cross-posting also allows people to directly post their videos onto Farcaster. I think also about like the whole pitch to the mainstream crowd, I think Farcaster really appeals to crypto natives. It's a decentralized social network, but many people don't even know what decentralized means or what is it for them. And so for us, I think our value prop is, social media creators and users should earn from their social media usage. And we're very proud to say that in the past 6 days, we've paid out $200,000 to creators of their trading fees. And I just announced it. I teased it today, but we are going to launch an Onchain creator fund very soon, powered by DGen, because DGen has been giving us a 20 million DGen grant. And so I'm very excited to just like reward people for their social media usage. And it feels like a simple idea that has been tried a lot, but I think crypto makes it possible. And we want to be at the forefront of that.
100%. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways we can go there. The first thing I want to say is that building a Farcaster video client feels like a massive opportunity to me. What I really enjoy about the way you launched this is that you leaned into Farcaster, but you didn't lock yourself into only being a Farcaster project. And I think now you're getting to make the decision of like, how deeply do we want to lean into this relationship? And something that you and I were talking about that I found exciting is, everyone pitches Farcaster as like, oh, what if you could carry your followers across different networks and platforms, et cetera? And something you said to me is like, hey, if we were to fully aligned with Farcaster, what that would mean is that my 150K followers I have on Warpcast would also carry over to Drakula. And when I heard that, it really clicked in my mind, because I can't express how difficult it is as someone who cares about their following on platforms like Twitter, Warpcast, etc., to have to start from scratch every time a new application gets started. And I think when I heard that ability to see my following get ported over from a new platform, something really powerful clicked inside of me. And now I'm not going to say that this is an easy thing to do, or maybe that it's, proven out that it's going to work yet. But I do think specifically for Drakula, you felt like the first app that had significant enough differentiation that if there were to be full Farcaster alignment, it would really speak to the ethos of that ecosystem, because it's not just like a different client to tweet from, it's a video client, whereas that's not even a focus remotely for Warpcaster today.
Yep, absolutely. I think like it's such a win-win positive sum game that we realized, and so we're going to implement this very soon, where like you'll show your Farcaster follower account, and like I think on their end they're very happy, because that means logging into Farcaster, they have some fees, right? Sometimes it's like $3 to connect a new app, $5 to sign up, but now it's like you're paying this one-time fee to never have to bother creating your social graph again. Usually a big feedback for creators when we pitch a new app is, well, I have so many apps on my phone, like, it's so annoying to keep track of everything. But if you could keep track of it because it's all correlated to one another, I think that would be amazing. And another thing why it's very exciting to use Farcaster is because one thing we're realizing right now, it's day 6 since the launch, so maybe I don't have that much, stepping back ability. But one thing is the algorithm is a real job. Like, it's a real machine learning, miracle from TikTok with thousands of data points. And we're not going to replicate this overnight. But one thing we're realizing is, what if we can use Cooper's following, and then every person who follows Cooper, they'll be recommended their Cooper's Drakula videos on the feed. And so if we start with a following instead of, for you or recommended as TikTok or Instagram Reels do, we can actually have a pretty high signal feed, because, a lot of people follow you or Jesse Pollack or many other people who want to do videos on Drakula. Ted has many, many videos on our app already. And so I think that's going to be helpful to bootstrap our feed very quickly. So that's coming also very soon. We're super stoked about this. But so like so many ways Farcasters can help. And even beyond the Farcaster protocol, there's many Farcaster adjacent tools like Zora for, minting a video, or like minting on-chain media, or Fabric for creator subscriptions, for people who don't want the casino game but want to provide like a deeper relationship with their fans. So there's many tools that I think are Farcaster adjacent that still could make us closer with the Farcaster community.
Right. And one thing you also called out there was the relationship you guys have with DGen. I think a lot of people that are listening to this are familiar with it from Farcaster. Can you walk me through the decision to use DGen as a base currency on Drakula out of the gate?
For sure.
And then I think we can go into some of the ramifications from there.
Yep, absolutely. So one thing we realized with the icon abstraction technology is that we don't have to use ETH anymore, because all the crypto complexity around like approving a token before swapping it is gone. It's all hidden from the user. So that means we can start using, normal tokens. And so at first, when we thought about mainstream, we were like, well, let's make it USD and just hide it as a US dollar so it's completely invisible. And then once we switched to the more Farcaster crowd, we were like, well, how could we do something that really is close to their heart? And DGen is just like, the biggest community of meme coin and just any token on Farcaster. And so we talked to them. They agreed to give us a grant of 10 million DGen. And so for us, it was like, all right, like we can have a small creator fund we can announce. We can potentially reward people using Drakula with DGen tokens. Plus, we get to have this token that's like really speaking to the Farcaster community. So that was a big deal. And then, we launched it. And, we are early in the bull market as well. And so what's exciting is DGen is a very small market cap token. So it didn't feel unsafe to launch right now. Like, if we're launching at the peak of the mania and then people get burnt like crazy because the coin is going down, that could be like a sad scenario. But here, I feel like it's pretty reasonable. Like, it's a bit more than a meme coin also. Like it has utility. They raised a round from Variant. So it's like more like a little startup that we're collaborating with. And so I got very excited. and we're stoked about our partnership because, it's, I think on day 2, they agreed to give us an additional grant because of all the usage. And so we're getting like to a place where there's a lot of incentives we can give to creators and just, learn together and having them paid. To me, like that's the biggest thing on our app. And because of them, I think we can totally execute on that. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. And I mean, on my end, I will say that the move to lean into DGen to me clearly signified that this is probably not a mainstream app out of the gate. This is probably more of a crypto app. And I think that was a very bold decision for you to make. But I will say that what was exciting from my perspective is, as someone who's been a holder of DGen for a while, someone who's a part of the community round, it was pretty crazy watching the fact that the token went up like 80% on the back of the Drakula launch. Like, you were driving volume to this token through a way that was not like people just trying to buy the token to pump it. And I feel like that was something that was very unique to me. It was watching a consumer app be a core driver of a token appreciating on a secondary and a public market. And I know that there's probably some other examples out there. I'm not going to say it's the first time it's ever happened, but it felt unique to me in the sense that you made a commitment to build on top of Farcaster. You made a commitment to use DGen as base currency. And then you as the product were rewarded in the form of having an additional 12,000 accounts that you said locked in on release day. You have this token that's going up in price. Creators are earning it in real time. And just speaking from personal experience, I did not do really anything on launch date. I mean, I texted you and we got some of my videos up, and then I made like a hello, congrats on the launch video. And I woke up and I had, 500K worth of DGen, which at today's prices is like a couple $1,000s, and I think that as someone who's crypto native and a creator, that was really powerful to me. And I guess to even take it a step further, you and I talk a lot about like price volatility, creators not being sure if they want to launch creator tokens and whatnot. What's been your feedback around sort of the creator tokens and all the bonding curve stuff that's going on Drakula so far?
Yeah, totally. So I think like the model is definitely like on-chain native because it's the bonding curve token to me works really well with the DGen crowd because it's kind of like a casino aspect where we're very transparent. The token is called DGen. We don't want to say we're something we're not. It's just good fun. But yeah, like we love basically adding a bit of utility to be like, hey, like you can prove you were first to a creator, you can support the creator, but also you have some skin in the game. If the creator keeps growing, if you keep sharing their videos, you may also have a financial stake in their success. So I think that part was really good. I would say it seems like in the past, many projects launching bonding curves have had limited longevity because bonding curves are essentially a win-lose game where long term, at some point, the price discovery stops and the price decreases. Of course, I feel like the timing that we're doing is good enough because we're pretty early. It's not complete mania. And so to me, it seems like we have a lot of room for growth and we want to help creators and fans earn as much as possible. But we do have plans to make the app more sustainable long term. And I think one of the ways could potentially be Fabric, which is a protocol where there is some element of incentives into a creator where you can earn if they grow their audience. But at the same time, the price would be stable. No one gets burnt out. And so I wouldn't be surprised that we would launch in a couple of months a product where it say, hey, give a discount to your DGen holders to switch to your longer term subscription. I know you've launched one. Ted has launched a subscription service on Fabric. And so again, this is one more element of being Farcaster aligned, listening to the community, becoming a bit less speculative as we grow and becoming more mainstream friendly. So like, I love the bonding curve aspect. I think it was great to have a big bang launch and everyone know about us. Now, I'm also aware that it is short-term by nature and we're working towards making sure every creator can have like a long-term seat in this app and not just be this betting, gambling fact.
Well, what's fun to me about Fabric is that it feels like a convenience thing. Specifically for us, we launched an on-chain subscription for Coop Records, and the pitch is that you get an edition of a song from Coop Records airdropped directly to your wallet every day. And I think especially as we live in a world where there's so much going on, it's very nice to be able to just buy something one time and then just know that you're taken care of every time in the future. And I know that this isn't a part of Drakula out of the gate, and I think I'd like to talk about this a bit, but in a world where you're subscribing to a creator on TikTok, it'd be really nice if you were getting, an edition of every video airdrop to your wallet, or if you're getting some sort of exposure to the success of that video when it's earning blood or when it's earning degen fees, etc. So what I want to zoom into next is on Drakula today. When you see a video, you have the ability to tip in a currency called blood. Please talk a little bit more about what blood is within the Drakula ecosystem, and then what the decision was to launch with that model over like the standard, this is an open edition, you can mint it as an NFT.
For sure. So for blood, which is our point system, basically it acts like a loyalty program. So it's like the Starbucks loyalty program or just an airline mile system, where basically any action you do to use Drakula, to share Drakula to your friends, we track it. Like we track every time you make someone sign up. We track every time you make someone buy a token and share a video, create a video. All of these incentives are baked in. We made it a token that is non-transferable. It's purely, on our service, centralized for now, because we thought it was best to iterate on it and see if, it can have some utility in the future in a financial way. But for now, it's like, let's keep the token iterations as flexible as possible without any financial stake. And so basically the usage that you can do with that token once you earn it is tip creators on Drakula, which is kind of like an upvote. So basically you can really express a lot of love for your creator through this token, basically by tipping. And I guess that makes blood the attention currency, where basically the more blood you give someone, the higher up they rank in the feed. Now, obviously, because the launch was very busy and loud, we had a lot of people gaming the token incentives for blood. And so I think we are going to...
What were they doing? How are they gaming it?
So there was a couple loopholes they could do. So you could infinitely invite someone, basically, and then people like kept inviting people, which was themselves probably, and we did not flag this. Creating videos as well. Creating a video is not something that's on chain, so you could just create a lot of videos. So we cut that incentive as well. What else? People were also like double spending. Like they were earning blood from anything, and then just like giving blood to their own videos. So they were tipping themselves basically. And when you tip someone, like it seems like there was a bug where our service was not really saving on time. And so momentarily they had more blood because of this kind of double spending problem, which is kind of ironic because like we are a crypto startup and people could double spend. But this is not a token for now. This is a point system. And so we're iterating. We're going to recalculate. We're going to make sure that blood kind of quantifies your engagement. So yeah, I think that's how it works for now. I know also like blood is a kind of weird word. We are aware of this, and like we're thinking about different ways to rebrand in a more positive light. But other than that, like token is the attention currency. You can earn it for using Drakula. You can spend it on creators you love, and it may have future use cases that we'll discover together as a community.
How do you feel about the nature of how the launch went from how popular it went? And I think to kind of unpack this a bit, I was DMing you about this, but I feel like crypto does this weird thing where it like hyper rewards you for launching something where like you just got $1 million of volume in 24 hours. There was all these creators on it. There was all these people gaming it. Like it was this frenzy. It's like this new thing launched. Everyone's rushing to it. Do you like that was the way that it unfolded? Do you feel like you learned a lot from it? Would you do it differently in the future? Or what was your kind of reaction to how hype the launch became?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a crazy day. Honestly, like as a team, we did not celebrate the first day because although it was so amazing, we could not keep up with all the attraction we were getting. And so it definitely, I feel like as an entrepreneur, like what's difficult is it's already high, low, lows. But I feel like crypto just adds another layer, another order of magnitude. Well, like 2 weeks ago, I could have felt like super bad. And I think a lot of decisions we made with Drakula was really with growth in mind. And so because we had so little users just a couple of weeks ago, well, I guess a couple of months ago because we Showtime, but like when Showtime was like in the last few weeks, we had like not much usage, maybe like 10K weekly active users, basically a couple of thousands of users. And now we grow like to tens of thousands very quickly because we wanted to be loud so much. But now it's like ultra loud. And we got, I think, probably, I think, half of the Farcaster DAU on the first day, which is nuts to me. And so, yeah, it was a really amazing launch, very loud, but for sure, like, we have to look at retention. We have to look at the long term of this app. Like, is this just a fad or is this going to continue? And that's why I'm excited about Farcaster. It's like, there may be hiccups along the way. There may be new features that are needed to make this app more useful. But I hope that like every new feature, like people come back to the app and like give feedback and tell us what to improve, and we'll definitely listen. But yeah, for sure, like crypto is really this volatile market, literally, and it's been difficult to keep up with. But yeah, we should be ready for more scale now. We fixed a lot of fires, still many more fires that are going on right now. A lot of things are broken in the background, but working super hard to fix it. But for sure, like this launch was stressful. It was not, I think we started celebrating around Saturday. Like we were up all day. Like one engineer, I think, stayed up for 52 hours straight.
Wow.
It was not really healthy, but we had to do it. Like we were only 4 engineers. Many crypto team are very lean. And so we're probably like right now hiring and small plug for us. Like if you're an engineer and want to work on consumer crypto, feel free to direct cast me. But yeah, like it's been mind blowing, the traction, and yeah, hopefully we keep that up. So far, it's been pretty positive. I think we got 1 mil on the first day, 4 mil now. So it's day 6. So you can see it's like a little less, but that was almost good for us. We're like, oh, nice. We can finally breathe. We can finally fix some stuff that like are really needed to be fixed. So stoked about our launch. But yeah, like I think the life as a crypto founder is completely crazy because you get little traction during the bear market, and then in the bull market, just like the smallest thing just blows up to your face. So that was definitely a bit surprising.
Well, I think taking a step back and just like talking as a founder, it's very interesting that crypto almost wants you to be really loud, really viral, and really fast, right? Like they want, when I say they, proverbially, I mean like the space as a whole. You launch Drakula and you have this massive launch. Now everyone comes out of the woodwork, investors I'm sure are coming out to you and being like, oh my God, like we need to catch up, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's just funny to me because, as someone who talks to you very frequently, like Drakula has been the result of many, many months of effort, focus, concentration, different product decisions, et cetera. You launch this thing and then within 24, 48 hours, it's like the massive floodgates open and everyone specifically within the crypto world, because I don't want to try and pretend that this is like going viral within the real world yet, but specifically within the crypto world, it's like you launch an app that gets people excited and they spend a couple $1 million. And now you're in this position of like everyone being like, hey, like I'd love to catch up. You know what I mean? And it's very interesting because I feel like as as someone who's been in the space for a while, I've noticed, this is my personal journey, and I'd love to get your take too, that the bigger the viral moment is and the bigger the inflection point is, the more stressful it is and the harder it is to balance all the expectations. When you're slowly building something, when you're slowly grinding, it doesn't feel like you get as much of a reward because there's not that major moment. But, if you're working on a project and the token goes up 1,000% over a week, if there's a ton of volume, a ton of users, everyone's kind of shouting your praises for a bit. But then you almost have to meet these expectations of like the hype that the product reached. And I think that that's a very difficult thing to do on a consistent basis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I totally relate to that. And for sure, we both share this because we've been in the space for so long at this point. Yeah, I feel like I think one potential explanation for this of people just like coming at you when you're growing is that there are so many crypto projects, and crypto is a very easy industry to break in. Like basically, you don't need to raise tens of millions like AI or AR, VR headsets. The barriers to entry are very low. Like we see teenagers doing really well in crypto, basically coming from nowhere. And so I feel like because there's so many projects, people have a hard time filtering them. And whenever some project or person breaks the filter and are above the pack, then they get a disproportionate amount of attention. And yeah, I feel like this glorifying thing can be a big dopamine boost, but it definitely like is hard to cope with when it's your first time. And so I had this massive dopamine boost with the Alex token early in 2020, and then back to back with like Showtime and like launching and all fundraise and tons of stuff like this. And it's coming back this year again with this past week, and it's been pretty crazy. yeah, I think we've seen a lot of investors, but also like engineers or just even like users. I guess for me, I care most about users and engineers because they are what makes our product really amazing. Um, and so yeah, that's yeah, I don't have much more thoughts on this besides like, the markets are crazy and people are following the market. And it makes sense. When there's so many projects, I think people have a harder time figuring out who's good or not. But one thing people constantly say in the space is that like also the longer you are in the space, the more data people have on you. So it's like, oh, like they've seen Cooper grind for like, almost 10 years on this. He's probably like going to keep going. Like it's like the Lindy concept. The longer you are into something, the more legit you are in the space, because that means the more legit you are, the more likely you are to stick around.
Yeah.
And so I think same applies to me. Like we've been here for a long time. We're not going anywhere and we're going to continue. And, it's a long journey because our mission, base mission, Farcaster mission is all to get 1 billion users. And although the launch was very successful, it still is within the crypto crowd that's not growing too fast. And so we still have a ton of work to do.
Psychologically, how did you feel about this launch relative to things like the Alex token, things like the launch of Showtime, announcing your seed round? Like, where did this kind of stack up for you just as a founder in your personal journey?
I think as a founder, I think I got a little used to it, but it was definitely a great feeling because I think Showtime, or fundraise, and the Alex token before that came very quickly next to each other. And so I really felt like a genius in like 2020, 2021. It's like, oh my God, like everything I do just keeps going viral. People love it. The Alex token, like that was really, really massive for me. I think like every day I was waking up super happy. It was kind of insane. Like I had this massive, very long lasting dopamine boost because I think for me, it was like very unique. Like, entrepreneurs raise funding rounds. It's nothing new, but like being the first to pioneer something, that was a very big deal because it kind of made me break in Silicon Valley and break in tech in general. I think that was a very, very big deal. And it made me unique as an entrepreneur. And I think that was really useful to attract talent, to attract investors, to start building our app. And then, yeah, the Showtime initial product was also really good. Like, many people say your idea may change over time. But for us starting Showtime, the first idea momentarily at least worked out. So I was like ecstatic. I was like, oh my God, like the first idea is already working out. Like this entrepreneur thing is really going well. And then the past 2 years was a massive, massive reality check. It's like, actually, no, like, people don't care about showing off their NFTs for now. It's more about training them. And there's other ways to show off your NFTs, like, physically or other means. And so, you're not good enough. And so I think that was a good reality check for me. Like I didn't want to be praised too high and like I still had lots of work to do. And what founders call product market fit, I am still chasing after. I don't think Drakula, after 6 days, we can say we have product market fit. And so before we can say like this is working sustainably, I think I still have a lot of work to do.
And I'm happy that you shared that because I think the last 2 years were very tough for a lot of people who were very active during the whole 2021 bull market. And I just want to commend you on the pivot. I think that there's a world where you could have just kept trying to make Showtime work in its current form, new features, et cetera. But, one thing I really respect about you is I think you're very liberal in saying this worked or it didn't work. And if it didn't work, that we need to do something differently. And so creator tokens, I know you were extremely excited about when you launched that. And it worked to a degree, but I think not to the degree that you had hoped for. And so you were very quickly like, okay, what do we need to do differently? And I think, I don't know if you want to comment that for a second, but I think there is something to be really advocated for in terms of being okay with when things don't work and being quick to address that it doesn't work to move on to something that feels more aligned.
Yeah, totally. Because I feel like basically building anything, literally building anything is the scientific method. It's like you create something, you see the feedback from the market, from whatever you're seeing, and then you iterate. And so I feel like this makes self-awareness the number one trait for everyone. Like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And I think now I kind of got used to catching myself from being biased and feeling like, oh, like this may work or something, but really it's not working. And so, yeah, I think actually it's funny that you say this because I actually thought I had this flaw. I thought Showtime, we had so many features at some point because we kept accumulating features. And I was like, just kill the whole thing. And when we told our engineers this, we have to kill the whole thing. they were actually very happy. They were like, oh, wow, like we can start afresh. Like there's many things in our infrastructure that was like really overloaded, so much tech debt per se that they could clear. We changed our code base stack to make it even easier for us. So it turns out like from an infra perspective, from a product perspective, from a communication perspective, it was a very big win. And I think we timed it pretty well. But, I think like people say I'm pretty good at timing. People also say you are very good at timing the market. I feel like it's just the nature of like, we've been there the whole time. So like, of course, anything happens, we are there and we have good timing.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I think I saw a kind of abstraction and all these new tech. And I was like, okay, like it's not just the price moving, like the tech behind the prices is what can make us build a better product. And so although Drakula has many flaws, I think it's still pretty cool that, you can buy without gas fees. You can buy degen in 1 click versus it would take 2 clicks normally. So yeah, super stoked. But yeah, it's been a journey for sure, but so excited.
Yeah. I mean, I think the market timing thing it's well said that people do like to say that you time things in a certain way, but it just feels very natural, in terms of just like following where people are spending their time, following where the conversation is. And at least for me, the commitment to be more active on Farcaster and by virtue by that to build more products on base was just very aligned with sort of like you mentioned that you and I met through Metacartel in 2018, whatever year it was. And the entire purpose there, at least why I got really into it, was this desire to build crypto products for real people. And like this intention of saying we want to focus on consumer products. And you look now and it's 2024. And I feel like for the first time ever in crypto, we are starting to get to a place where people are building consumer products for being what consumer products are, which is daily active users, which is retention. And I think one of the biggest challenges that is in front of us right now, you explained it very well, is that today crypto really values speculation. It really values, okay, I come to Drakula, I'm going to bet on Cooper, I'm going to bet on Jesse Pollock, I'm going to bet on these people who are really popular because I think they're going to be really big on this app. And that's a beautiful thing. I think it's one of crypto's biggest selling points and something I don't want to discredit, but it's an extremely different focus than, when I shared Drakula to one of my friends who's really active on TikTok, she's like, I can't edit my video. I can't watch my video when I upload it. And she started looking at it from the perspective of just a regular TikTok user. And it was really fascinating for me to recognize the different areas of focus that you have as someone who's been around the block in crypto and knowing what's going to get people excited in that world versus what people expect as just regular user of consumer apps and trying to find the right way to kind of merge those two worlds together.
Yep, absolutely. I think crypto, like we see crypto evolving very fast. I think every month there's like a new trend, something new to check out. But I think if you zoom out, crypto still has a lot to go in terms of basic infrastructure. And so I think that has been blocking mass adoption because by not growing in infrastructure fast enough, I think there is latent demand. And so like people want to check out crypto. They're like, texting back and giving feedback and stuff, but they're just like, I cannot jump in yet. Like I talked to Nikita Beer, who's like one of the most impressive, social media entrepreneurs, like building many social apps that are viral. And when I pitched him like, TikTok and crypto, he was like, you need feature parity with TikTok 100%. And we broke that rule because the truth is we spent so much time, dealing with all the crypto tools, implementing all the crypto tools, and we should not do that. Like I feel like if you're building in consumer crypto, you should spend time building consumer crypto and your UX. You should not build time. You should not, spend time implementing all these tools. And so hopefully that is shrinking very quickly. Hopefully there's some plugin ecosystem or things like that where you can just plug and play any component you want that's crypto. And so that's what is going to give us a better feed and the delete feature and other things like this that are lacking because we basically gave people the really most basic version of a TikTok feed we can get. There's so many things to improve in terms of like the design of our app, the experience, the feed algorithm, and we're going to tackle these. But honestly, like candidly, what really put us back a little bit is held us back is the intro. Yeah. But it's coming. It's coming.
And talk to me quickly about the opportunity for building an on-chain TikTok. I know this was something that you were looking a lot into, like the TikTok Creator Fund. Obviously, there's a lot of tailwinds happening within the mainstream news cycle as a whole right now. How did you kind of land on this direction to say like, we want to be the on-chain TikTok?
For sure. So, going back to Metacartel vision of making crypto mainstream, people don't really care about finance. Finance is pretty antisocial as a concept. And if we want to go after getting everyone in the world on chain, that starts with social media. And hands down, the most popular social media format is videos, whether it's Reels or TikTok. And so what I've realized is, all right, like we need to build a mainstream, viral social media app on crypto Rails. And so that was the number one thing. And then I think the opportunity is going to be massive because one, we build with Farcaster people. It's very orthogonal to the Farcaster Twitter-like product. We grow with them. And then hopefully we make it a bit less about speculation, but still some components of it. Bigger creators start talking about it. They start earning a lot. And one trend I'm seeing is that creators are rewarding their users themselves, like Mr. Beast, like many of his videos is like, I'm giving out my own money. And so when our product is ready, we can say to Mr. Beast, hey, you're going to be able to give out 10 times more money or 20 times more money to your users. You would blow up on this app. And now we are ready for you. Mr. Beast grows with us and, makes more money, onboards everyone on there. And, TikTok may get banned by the United States, which is, one of the stars aligning in that concept where we can take over as the mainstream video app in the United States. And then even longer term, for people to be able to port over their social graph from Drakula, or maybe our future name, which will be different, likely, they will be able to do this. And so we will contribute to the Farcaster protocol. We also will probably have some sort of creator token or creator earnings protocol at some point, or like any SDK to support developers building on top of our app. So to me, like I see a clear path. And I think in that world, the wallet is created for every user. And that's very powerful. But it has to have an earning component to it to get people to switch. And so I think we got the right video format. We got the right earnings format. Now we just need to like lessen the speculation bit, increase the feature parity with TikTok, and I'm sure we'll do really well. And I've been super stoked about the past week. And we'll see how it goes.
What do your friends in San Francisco think of it?
So my friends are very happy. So like one thing that's very funny in San Francisco, like if you know anything about San Francisco, is like they are really into AI right now. AI is the main thing. AI, like cool people are into AI. Everyone is pivoting to AI. One thing that's pretty funny is like, even though AI is the main thing, I think people in SF, their founders, they all want to win. And so they're very quick at changing their minds. And so like I've had a lot of friends really commend me and be like, wow, like really congrats on the perseverance. But I feel like it doesn't apply just to me. It applies to you. It applies to all of us for like persevering through so much. And, we're seeing Drakula, we're seeing Polymarket from our friend Chain doing really well right now. So I think it's just the start of crypto booming. And I'm excited about this new cycle because to me, it's going to be the most useful use cases. Creators will be able to unlock some stuff. Probably the best UX, obviously, by far. And lastly, I think this cycle, we may end up with an app with over 10 million users. I think that's like our moonshot goal this year. And I think that's going to be really amazing. I don't think it happens today besides trading. Like the first non-trading app in crypto with over 10 million users, I think that's going to be fantastic because the bear market will just be felt so much less. It's like, well, there's already people on this app. Like even if they don't spend as much as maybe a year or two from now at the peak of the bull market, they still find value in this app. They still want to get the free songs airdrop to you or something like this. And so just like you're saying, music alone should suffice and should be fine for people. Like music is the value. I think like hopefully the apps alone should work out even after this big, up and down cycle that we're about to live. And so I'm very stoked about that because that's going to be the true, like crypto is here to stay cycle. And I think that's going to be fantastic, I think, as builders to stop the volatility that we keep seeing.
What would you say to any founders who are listening to this who have been building in crypto for a couple of years? Maybe they raised some funding, maybe they didn't, but they haven't quite found like product market fit and they're just trying to figure it out. Like put yourself in the position of where you were prior to launching Drakula, even 2 weeks ago. What advice would you have for people?
Um, I would say like it seems like half of success in entrepreneurship is sheer perseverance. So I think keep going, never give up. All the basic advice totally applies. Um, I think the tricky part is that you want to be starting with a small niche of crypto natives, but you also want to have like in mind the sequence of product to get to mainstream. And I can't say I figured it out. Maybe Dracula will stay for a long time about speculators and crypto people. But I think that's the tricky part, is that I think I've seen many apps really boom for crypto natives, but they cannot break out of this crypto native shell. And I think this is like basic startup advice. Start with a niche, conquer that niche, and then grow from there. It seems that unfortunately the infrastructure was not built up for this yet. But the reason why personally with Drakula we're excited about our future is because it seems like with all the infra tools we integrated, we actually have just enough of a future-proof system. And so future-proof yourself, like use the cutting edge tools. Yeah, it may take a bit more time to implement them, but like, there may be some very painful migration down the road that will really stop you from growing. And so I would say start with a niche, but then make sure you're using, I would say the three biggest one for me as a builder is layer twos, account abstraction, and embedded wallets like, Privy, Dynamic, just sign in with a provider. I would say like these three are really must-haves, and then grow alongside them. Like they're builders, they're just like you, they're seeking your feedback, and they will evolve with you. A lot of the Privy roadmap, like we've advised them on this, like we keep getting feedback from them, and I feel like they've been super professional. And so, yeah, I would say like use tools to future-proof your app so you can move from crypto native to mainstream, and then never give up, because I think if you look at OpenSea, Uniswap, success is way bigger than Dracula, Coinbase, of course. It's all companies that took years to find product market fit, which may seem daunting, but to me, what kept me from giving up is that the social media crypto vision has not been achieved yet. Like, honestly, I am down to give up on Dracula if there's an app tomorrow with 1 billion users doing TikToks that successfully onboarded everyone. But I'm not going to give up until that vision is finished. And it could be us. It could be someone else as well. But I feel like we can make it happen. And so far, we're like one of the leading ones. Of course, it's so early, and there's going to be many different players and many ways through time, I guess Dracula now can go. But I would say like, as long as we haven't onboarded 1 billion users on chain, our work is not done as builders. And so you should not give up.
Job's not finished. Well, Alex, it's been amazing having you back on the podcast, man. I'm so happy for you. And I know there's a lot of work to do, but wanted to make sure we celebrated this moment while we had it. In closing thoughts here, if people want to stay up with you or Dracula or anything else going on, what's the best place for them to do so?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on Farcaster at alexmasmej.eth. I'm on X at alexmasmej. And then Dracula is like the vampire, but with a K. And so, yeah, Dracula .app is the name of the app. And thank you so much for having me on. Always good chatting
Likewise, with you. Man. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
All right. See you.